While everyone else was frozen in place doing the mannequin challenge, there was always that one person just watching, quiet, unimpressed, low-key judging. And psychologists actually have a name for people like this, but it's probably not what you think. You know exactly who I'm talking about. When TikTok dances took over your feed, they scrolled right past. When everyone was flexing their Spotify Wrapped, they just didn't post. When something went viral, they stayed completely untouched. These people are trend resistors, and their brains might actually be wired differently. Stick with me, because this gets kinda weird in a good way. Here's the question that explains everything. When everyone tells you to do something, what's your first instinct? If you're a trend resistor, it's usually to do the exact opposite. Psychologists call this psychological reactance. And no, it's not just being stubborn or edgy. It's a built-in defense system. When someone feels their freedom being nudged, even by something harmless like everyone's using this app, you should try it. Their brain immediately pushes back. Hard, think about it. The more you see something everywhere, the more it stops feeling optional. It starts feeling like pressure. And for trend resistors, pressure doesn't motivate. It triggers a straight-up nope. It's the same brain response that makes you want to stay up late when someone tells you to go to bed, or makes a forbidden cookie taste way better than it should. Humans are wired to protect autonomy, and trends, ironically, can feel like tiny attacks on it. But here's where it gets interesting. Trend resistors aren't just saying no to be difficult. Research shows that people with a strong need for uniqueness actually feel uncomfortable when they think they're becoming too similar to others. So when something starts trending, it's not just unappealing, it feels threatening. Almost like their identity has an immune system and trends are the virus. Now, some of you are already thinking, isn't avoiding trends kind of a trend? Congrats. You just discovered the hipster paradox. And yes, actual mathematicians studied this. Back in 2014, researchers modeled what happens when too many people try to be different in the same way. The result? Everyone ends up identical. It's beautiful, it's tragic, and it's mathematically unavoidable. But here's the important distinction most people miss. Not everyone who avoids trends is doing it for the same reason. There are two very different types. First, the contrarian. These people reject trends because they're trends. Their whole personality is built on pushing back. Show them something popular, and they'll instantly list 17 reasons why it's actually trash. They're exhausting at parties. Then there's the second type, the authentic non-participant. These people aren't against trends. They just don't care. They're on a completely different wavelength. Here's the psychological difference. Contrarians are externally driven. Their choices are reactions to what everyone else is doing. Authentic non-participants are internally driven. Their choices come from personal values, regardless of what's trending. One is still controlled by trends, just in reverse. The other barely notices them. And studies on something called self-monitoring, basically how much people adjust their behavior to fit social situations, show that people who score low on this trait are far less likely to follow trends at all. They're not resisting, they're just living. They're not trying to resist trends. They literally process social information differently. That song everyone's obsessed with, to them it's just a song. Either it hits or it doesn't. How popular it is doesn't really factor in. And that raises a bigger question. Why would some brains work this way? Here's the plot twist. People who resist trends may have actually helped keep humans alive. Throughout history, when everyone rushed in one direction, someone had to pause and say, hold up. What about the other way? If every single person in an ancient tribe chased the same food source, settled in the same spot, followed the same excitement, that's how you run out of options. That's how you get stuck. But if a few people naturally went, nah, I'm good, and looked elsewhere, that's survival insurance. When the popular watering hole dried up, guess who already had a backup plan? The ones who didn't follow the crowd. And there's even genetic evidence behind this. Some researchers point to variations in dopamine-related genes, sometimes called the wanderer gene, linked to novelty seeking, risk-taking, and going against social norms. These were probably the people who left the safety of the group to see what was over the hill. Sometimes they found better land. Sometimes they found danger. But either way, they expanded possibilities. So here's the real question people care about. Are trend resistors actually happier? And honestly, the answer is complicated and kind of beautiful. On one side, people who don't follow trends often report higher satisfaction with their choices. They don't feel FOMO because they genuinely don't have it. They're not performing for an audience. Their life feels like it belongs to them. Buying something because you want it, not because it's trending, hits different. It feels intentional, personal, grounded. There's something deeply satisfying about living by your own compass. But here's the other side. Humans are social creatures. We're wired for belonging. And trends, annoying as they can be, create shared experiences. Inside jokes, cultural moments, conversation glue. When you opt out of everything, you also opt out of connection. Remember that moment when everyone was talking about a show and you hadn't seen it? That awkward pause. That feeling of being slightly outside the circle. That's real. And it matters. We evolved in small groups where shared knowledge wasn't just social, it was survival. A 2019 study actually found that people who selectively participate in trends report higher life satisfaction than people at either extreme. Not blindly following everything, not rejecting everything either. The sweet spot is choice. Joining what genuinely interests you, skipping what doesn't, regardless of popularity, which brings us to an uncomfortable truth. Some people who think they're authentic non-participants are actually just contrarians. If your first reaction to something popular is, "That's basic," or sheep mentality, congrats. You're not free from trends. You're defined by them. You've just chosen opposition as your aesthetic. Think of it like a shadow. Shadows only exist because something else is there. If the object moves, the shadow moves. That's not independence. That's reaction. True freedom isn't automatically rejecting what's popular. And it's not automatically accepting it either. It's being able to evaluate something without its social status attached. Liking Taylor Swift without irony. Skipping a viral challenge without feeling superior. Wearing Crocs because they're comfortable, not because they're trending or anti-trending. Here's the hardest question of all. If everyone suddenly stopped doing the thing you refuse to do, would you still refuse? If the answer is yes, that's authenticity. If the answer is no, you've been performing this whole time. So here's what the psychology actually tells us. People who don't follow trends aren't smarter. They're not more boring. They're not better, and they're not missing out. They're just wired differently. Some brains are highly tuned to social signals. What's new? What's popular? What creates belonging? These people aren't shallow. They value connection. Other brains run on internal settings, personal interest, curiosity, values. These people aren't superior. They're just internally guided. Problems only start when either side thinks their way is the right way. When trend followers mock individuality as trying too hard. When trend resistors mock participation as lack of originality. Because here's the thing nobody wants to admit. We're all performing something. The only difference is whether we're aware of it. So let me ask you, are you really a trend resistor, or do you just think you are? Let me know in the comments, unless caring about comments feels too mainstream. And if you want more everyday behavior broken down through psychology, don't forget to subscribe, or click join if you want to support the channel. It genuinely helps. And check out this next video if you want your daily habits explained in a way that actually makes sense.